Hey, it's nice to come to this theater and say 2 for a good movie.
Yeah. Wow.
Or Parkway.
Hasn't happened in a while.
I can't remember. I can't remember the last time I came to Parkway and said 2 for something that's not a Jesus movie. It's been a long time since I haven't been embarrassed in this theater.
God, Grand Budapest Hotel?
No, we saw that at Showplace. That was the same night that my mom and I went to Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, that's right.
We saw Birdman at Showplace. I cannot remember. I can't remember.
A really long time. Because mostly
The Raid, maybe?
Yeah.
We just got out of It Follows, which I'm really glad came to Springfield, honestly.
Yeah, me too. That was enjoyable.
That was really good.
I enjoyed every minute of watching that movie. It's one of those movies, though, if I sit here and try and think about it too much, it's going to ruin it for me.
I don't think it would ruin it for me. I mean, a lot of my favorite horror movies have, if they don't have a solid director behind it, it might be really... I mean, we were talking about Christine earlier. Yeah. One of my favorite horror movies, that story could be handled very badly.
This could have been horrible.
Yeah. But no, it wasn't. From the very first frame of it, it's like it is like a lot, like, it's like you're transported back to watching some lost horror movie from like 82 or something.
Dude was channeling some Carpenter and did some De Palma and
a bit of Wes Craven too.
A bit of Wes Craven, yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. It was...
good, nice, long, big, wide shots that are just creepy and isolating. And
sinister-ass music.
Yeah.
Killer fucking mood, man. I mean,
fantastic mood.
Holy shit, this movie's creepy as fuck.
Yeah, a couple jump scares, but at appropriate times.
Yeah, like twice in the movie.
Yeah.
And it was appropriate. It fucking earned that shit.
Yeah.
There wasn't really any, like, music stinger behind it or anything
it was
like
just,
that. Jesus. Get the fuck out of there. I can see that thing. It's right behind you.
I want to see this movie with, like, not to sound horrible and racist, I want to see this theater with a bunch of really loud, obnoxious people going, "Watch out, bitch!"
Well, I like that the movie kind of took the idea of, like, the cliche of the slasher movie villain always just walks after you and ran with it.
Yeah, that's all this thing does. It walks after you, and if it catches you, it rapes you to death.
Yeah, it'll fucking kill you, man. It'll, like, bend your leg over across your head. It'll be your mom, and it'll fuck you to death. Like, oh my god, this thing,
Yeah.
It's like a really... It reminds me of something that, like, say this was made in, like, the early 80s or something like that. It reminds me of something that, like, would have been a really cool little movie, but maybe kind of came and went and found an audience. Like, something like The Prowler, or, like, Don't Go in the House, or Blood Rage, or something like that. Like, would have built up kind of a cool following over time. But already it's got... Oh man, have I gotten a lot of messages saying, when are we going to go see this movie?
It was all over the comments for this last week's midnight releases. And the thing people got to keep in mind is we live in Springfield, Illinois. We're not going to get a whole lot of indie stuff here until it's found an audience and the theater takes a chance on screening it. Like, the theater here, it's not going to make money off It Follows. Like, it's kind of a nice little boon that we even got it for a couple days. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's like, we keep track of this stuff. We want to see this stuff. I mean, but if we don't do a video on it, it means it didn't come here. That's basically... Yeah,
that's really the long and short of it. When I saw that it was coming, because I know it ended up did get a wider release this weekend, I honestly thought it was probably just going to go to on demand around here. Of that, usually whenever I see a horror movie that I really fucking like, that usually is the case. One of the best horror movie I saw last year was The Babadook, which did not come to theaters in
I'm
Springfield.
so glad this came to theaters though, because this was a theater movie.
Uh-huh.
Like you needed a big screen to get all those big. Whoever fucking was the cinematographer in this movie was goddamn a genius. He kept doing one thing that kept bugging me, but it worked for the movie, so I can't like there was constantly pan and scans in this movie.
Oh, that didn't bother. That didn't bother me because it
worked.
It went along with the vibe of this movie.
It worked. It's just they kept doing it.
Like,
you know?
I won't be surprised if, like, you know, this is one of those movies like House of the Devil that also gets a VHS release.
That would be sweet.
But it's a good throwback. It is. It isn't like, you know, when I saw like You're Next and thought it was a piece of shit.
Yeah, I don't think Your Next was a piece of shit. I don't think it deserved the praise it got.
Me neither.
Yeah, I thought it was, for what it was adequate, but it was nothing incredibly special.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the thing about this genre of movies is a really, really good one comes along so very rarely that something that at least tries gets a lot of attention that maybe it doesn't always deserve.
Well, and it's better than just like, you know, like, oh, it's really cool because it seems like it's something from the early 80s. I mean, it is a genuinely creepy movie.
Oh, yeah.
They do, it's interesting because, like, it takes place in this weird, like, modern day / 30 years ago universe because, like, there is, like, modern cars, there's, like, some phones and stuff like that, but they all have like old RCA TVs and things like that. I mean, I thought that was a nice touch.
It was kind of blending the past and the... Well, I like that too because it doesn't date it too much. Like, there was one piece of tech in it that I was like, well, I've never seen that before. It might very well exist.
Was that like...
The little palm reader thing that girl had?
Yeah.
That was shaped like... All right, whatever. Like, cool. It's a neat looking thing, but at the same time, like, yeah, everybody's still using landline phones. And, like,
I enjoyed that.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. But it leaves it open to, like, when is this happening?
I wonder if it's one of those things, like, we want this to take place in, like, 1981, but we don't have entirely the budget for it, so there's some TVs... And it's in the presence of those modern cars in the background. Well, believe me, I get that.
Well, and it takes place, most of it takes place around Detroit. So it's like, oh yeah, this sense of urban decay and stuff is very fitting. I mean,
a lot of pan shots of some like decrepit houses and old suburbs and stuff like that. Like
lots of long driving scenes that kind of reminded me of Taxi Driver when he's driving through the city.
Yeah.
But they're doing it during the day, and it's just as fucking disturbing.
Passing by the dude passing by those prostitutes.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Well, he's got the right idea. Just, get a prostitute. That's that shit. The problem there is you might trade one for another. And the other one might be worse than a ghost following you.
Yeah, well, the concept of this movie, which, you know, even before we saw it, I do believe this concept is a little ridiculous. It is a sexually transmitted haunting. So only the person who has the haunting can see it. And so, yeah, it's transmitted sexually. And then the ghost follows you to try and kill you. And if it does, it goes back to the person that gave it to you, I guess. But it can only walk. It can't run. It can't... It can only walk.
It can make itself look like...
anything, yeah.
Any person, really. I mean, and it can do... Like, while the person who's infected can see it, it can still... About halfway into the movie, you figure out it can still do damage to other people. They just can't see it. Like, it can fucking kick through doors or break shit.
Yeah, it can pick shit up and throw it. It can hit people. Like, and that's a weird thing, too, because it's a ghost that also, like, if you throw a sheet over it, the sheet stays on top of it, which, like... Sure, awesome. Like,
I'm down with it, man.
This movie takes a whole lot of suspension of disbelief in this movie.
Well, sure, yeah.
But at this... Well, any horror movie does, but this one especially, because if you break this down and you're not watching it and you just hear the concept of it and everything, it's fucking ridiculous. It's almost laughable. It really is.
I mean, it is, but like I said, I can say that about a lot of different things that I really like, you know. a goofy concept horror film that happens to be written well and performed well and it
Yeah.
has some mood and tension and is still very scary. That's certainly not a rare thing at all. I mean, even outside of horror movies, you can say that about some action films, some comedies, like might have a goofy premise or something like that, but it's got some talent behind it.
Oh, yeah.
The characters are solid in the movie. There's no unnecessary douchebaggery that you see in a lot of modern horror movies.
Yeah, I mean, there's a guy who's kind of a douche, but at the same time, he's not like you're rooting for this guy to get it
Yeah.
kind of douche. It's just like, you're a little douchey.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy who's certainly like skeptical about this whole situation, which of course,
Yeah.
but he's still also trying to help.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he teaches her how to shoot. He gets her away from this shit. I was there along with the characters. I was genuinely rooting for them. There wasn't anyone in this movie that I disliked. There wasn't anyone who really annoyed me.
No, then all the kids in the movie, they're all in that weird somewhere age between, like, I'd say between 18 and 24, you know?
Yeah.
And it doesn't get into it specifically, which I think is good. Like, but all the people in it were pretty solid. The main girl especially.
She was really damn good.
She was really good.
Mhm.
Like, really good. Pulling off a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
Like, that girl's got a fucking future. I can't wait
I've
to see
seen
her.
her in something. She looks really goddamn familiar. She looks kind of like somebody that I know in real life, but I swear I've seen her in something else. I just can't fucking think off the top of my head.
Well, I was trying to think of who she... Like, she looks like someone else. Another actress. She looks a little bit like another actress. And
Yeah.
and I was trying to figure out exactly who.
That was I was trying to do that too. I was like, maybe
A little bit, like... Tiny bit like Mary Elizabeth Winstead, maybe? But not a whole lot.
I can see that a little bit. Just blonde.
Yeah, just kind of...
It's an unpredictable movie. Like, I mean, like, some of it you can kind of predict, like, okay, she's probably gonna hook up with one of these guys and try to get this thing away from her, and you can kind of figure which one out of the entire group is probably gonna get killed. But aside from that,
She's in a few things, but nothing...
anything that I would have seen?
The Guest, Labor
Oh!
Day.
Okay, I remember from the... Yeah, okay. Two really damn good movies in a row. The Guest and this one. Really, really fucking good.
Yeah.
Both good throwback movies, too.
Something called Flying Monkeys.
I didn't see Flying Monkeys. Yeah, okay. That's it. All right. And one thing that I thought it did that was smart, which was it does because you know, if this thing came out by like fucking like Platinum Dunes or Ghost House or something like that, they would have tried explaining it. I really like that they didn't explain this shit.
Well, and that's the thing about this movie is this movie completely depended on the filmmaking of it because it's a ridiculous concept.
Yeah.
And if they had tried to explain it in the movie, it would have taken away, because there's so much of it that really kind of begs to be explained that it would have ruined the mood and the atmosphere of the movie to do it.
I got it in the sense that, like, why these characters who are dealing with this situation, it would have been slightly unrealistic if somehow they found out about where this thing comes from. Like, you would see that in some, in like a mainstream thing. Like, oh, it has to do with old widow Johnson who lost her child in childbirth and STD disease.
Well, and the characters in this movie are doing ridiculous shit, like that whole end scene in the pool.
That was awesome.
It was awesome! But what was the point of it all? But at the same time, I'm sitting there going, but really, in this situation, what else do you do but try shit?
Fucking try that shit. Like, shooting it will kind of slow it down.
Yeah, it knocks it down for a minute. It doesn't kill it, so why not try to electrocute it with a bunch of household appliances in a gigantic swimming pool?
Why not? You know,
Yeah.
try that shit. And then I love that because it totally backfires.
Oh yeah, totally backfires. Doesn't work at all, but they tried it, I guess.
They fucking tried that shit. Man, that ghost was throwing those fucking appliances at her. Like, that shit was intense.
Hit her in the fucking face with an iron.
Yeah, hit her with a fucking iron. The thing falls in the pool, is grabbing onto her and shit. Dude is shooting, accidentally hits one of the other girls in the leg because they can't see the fucking thing. Oops, sorry. Oh my god, and I'm watching this thing like there's some spine-tingling shit in this.
Oh, yeah.
When that fucking giant one just walked into the goddamn room of the house earlier into the movie, and when they're sitting on the beach and you just see that goddamn thing, like, this is a movie where you're constantly looking in the background, because odds are something's gonna be there.
Well, and that was the cool thing about this movie is there were so many, like, yeah, it can look like anything, and it just walks. Mm-hmm. There's people walking everywhere in this, and there's several times you're like, that's probably it, but it might not be. You don't fucking know till it does something weird or it's in a place where it's absolutely not supposed to be.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it does that with the ending. It has that kind of Inception ending where it's like, is that it? You don't know.
Yeah, because sometimes it'll be in the background,
Yeah.
and like it'll probably look like a fairly normal person, but then other times it'll look like naked Isabella Rossellini at the end of Blue Velvet standing next to the house. Like, oh, that something's not right about this.
Yeah.
And I'm watching like, oh man, you guys really need to buy some of those like mirror glasses.
Oh fuck yeah. Yeah.
I like your solution though, which is leave the continent.
Yeah, no. Okay, it can only walk and it follows you directly in a straight line from wherever it is to wherever you are. Get on a plane, fly to Europe. Hang out in Europe, because this thing's it's gonna have to walk across the ocean. Not like fucking Jesus, but you know, down and up and shit. Like, have to walk down a trench, up a trench and shit. Go to Europe, hang out, get a job, make some money, wait for it to show up again. It's going to take a couple months at least. And as soon as you see the fucking thing, get on a plane, fly back, hang out with your family for a while, visit, make some money, borrow some money. And when it comes back again, get on a plane and fly back.
Really?
Like, you just fuck with the thing.
Oh yeah, really, if you think about it, this isn't the worst STD you can have.
No, it's not. It's not AIDS.
You can, if you got enough money, you fly over to, just live bi-coastal, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, it might be the, like, most psychologically damaging STD besides, well, up there along with syphilis. But yeah, I mean, if you got some money or you're a resourceful person, I think you can lick this thing. I mean, I really think you can. I think you can make it through.
One guy who just up and says to her, like, well, look, it was hard for me. It should be easy for you to get rid of this. I mean, you're pretty. You just go out tonight and find someone.
Yeah.
But it's a really, really good, because it's not the girl isn't like an asshole character or anything that. She's trying to deal with this without just automatically going out and just passing it along to somebody.
No, she doesn't want to, and then she does twice, but essentially because she's talked into it by two people at different times that both seemingly really actually do want to help.
Yeah.
The one guy though isn't really a believer, so he gets his.
Yeah.
And
he gets fucked by his mom.
Yeah.
And then the other two at the end, they kind of learn, like, without, like, 'cause you gotta figure out, okay, they probably don't have the money to live bi-coastally.
But
so
they kind of they're like, if we team up on this shit, we have lookouts.
Yeah. We got lookouts. They still don't buy the mirror glasses, which they really need to do that.
They really need to. But also at the same time, the dude, it's like, they obviously have a connection. It might not necessarily be deep enough for a full life partnership, because that's what this is now.
Yeah.
But they have a connection. They have a history. The one dude's obviously really into her, and she's got, like, feelings, because she bangs the other dude, so she doesn't have to give it to this kid. So, I mean, yeah. And then he goes out and fucks a hooker.
Yeah, right, yeah.
whatever, good play. But honestly, like, the dude that gives it to her, he's kind of a shitbag.
Oh, yeah.
He's a shitbag. Like, he dates her for a while before doing this. But, I mean, at least and he, like, ties her to a chair. He's really creepy. He, like, chloroforms her, drives her somewhere.
He kidnaps her.
Yeah. But he fucking explains it to her in fucking detail. Like, yeah, this is traumatic and it seems like crazy bullshit, but he at least gives her the fucking full up and up on it.
He still does later on, too.
Yeah.
When they find him, they track down his real name because he was living under a fake name, and he dated this, like you said, he dates this girl, passes along to her, but then they track down who he is, and they don't have him arrested for kidnapping. That was nice. Instead, he goes into it some more and still helps them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, you're a shitbag, but at the same time, like, I get it, dude.
You at least explained it.
Yeah.
Which I guess you would have to, because if you don't explain it, they won't know something's after them. It'll probably kill them, and then the thing will just come after you again.
Oh, and the dude's cool enough to, like, warn her, too, about the, like, this thing's gonna try and fuck with you emotionally by showing up as people you care about. And that was a nice little touch that they put in when they finally tracked him down. Because in the first time you see the monster, the ghost, it's while he's explaining it to her. He's forcing her to see it, and then running her away. And he's like, it's gonna show up as people you love, and it's this, you know, nice-looking middle-aged woman who's bare-ass naked. And when they finally track him down and knock on the door, it's his fucking mom.
Yeah.
Oh, that's heartbreaking and horrible.
Oh, yeah, and the one who's throwing, like, the electric shit in the swimming pool is like her dad. Yeah, it was her dead dad.
Oh,
like,
and
fucking creepy.
The old lady they show in the trailer, that's her dead grandma.
I actually didn't watch the trailer before I came to see it.
I saw the trailer for it a few months ago.
Oh, did you really? Before a movie we went to go see?
No, just online, because it's this is one of those movies that, like, the internet's talking about a lot, which we are the internet. But so it's one I've been curious about. Like, Brian was supposed to be here, and I was like, I want to tag along because I just want to see this movie. I'm so glad. It was really good.
Brian's gonna be so mad.
He's gonna be upset. Yeah.
I texted him a bunch of his phone's been having issues lately.
Yeah. Well, they live in a brick building, and
yeah.
But no, yeah, this was really enjoyable. It's one of those things, like, it sounds like it could be the worst thing in the world, but it's pulled off so well.
It's like when I recommend, like, Killer Condom to somebody.
Oh yeah, it's a great movie. It's that movie I like from about 10 years ago called The Signal.
Oh, that's a damn good movie.
It is, but when you explain people to the concept of that movie, that it's a fucking it's three directors, and they each wrote like a third of the movie and barely were able to, like, tie it into each other because they only gave each other so much information. They're like, that sounds like a recipe for just goddamn disaster. But it worked really well, and it's three awesome little short movies that make one big movie, and God, I love The Signal.
Oh, that's a fucking good movie.
Easily one of my favorites. Went and saw that as a Facebook event.
And then I was working at the video store when that came out, and we could check stuff out. Like,
I remember I called and told you about.
Yeah, you told me about it. So, like, that movie, we could rent stuff like a week before it hit the shelves because we always got it like a week in advance, and they would encourage you to take stuff home and watch it so you would know what to recommend to people. Beyond that, I would have done stuff like that anyway. But that one came. I remember Dave really talking this up. I'm gonna take this home and watch it, and I guess I'll also take Semi-Pro.
That's a hell of a double feature.
I can't remember if that was the same night. Maybe that was the night that I took home Strange Wilderness. God damn it. But yeah, like, you know, you describe something like that to somebody, or, you know, Deathbed, or again, Killer Condom, like, oh, it's about this crazy religious person who takes squids and makes condoms out of them and fucking, like, chomps their dicks off and shit. No, don't worry, it's a really fun and moody movie. You have to trust me.
Yeah. It's like, this is the movie about sexually transmitted ghosts that can only walk, that you can run away from. but they will walk towards you forever.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like the early 80s, like, you know, like low budget horror double feature with like The Entity or something.
Yeah.
So I really fucking recommend this movie. I know most of you out there have actually seen it before we have.
Yeah. Well, it's the problem with this podunk fucking town. You know, we do what we can.
Well, we do still get the Jesus movies opening weekend.
Well,
yes, we do.
Yeah, sad.
It's like I said.
Gotta wait like 3 weeks to get Birdman, but you know.
I think we talked about this in one of them before, but I'm like, okay, as long as eventually we get both, all right, because the Jesus movies are good to see for the sight, and the masochist in me is all right with that. But, you know, all right, so we get those, but, you know, we'll also get something like It Follows and Birdman, stuff like that. The Raid 2, eventually, you know, as long as I can still see that in the theater. Hell, I think that, okay, well, Furious 7 is coming up Thursday, and we're seeing Breakfast Club Tuesday, but, coming up, maybe, I don't know, it might come to Springfield, probably, maybe, not sure, is the religious movie that we saw that looked so bad that you don't even want to go.
Oh, the fucking concert movie.
Hillsong.
Yeah, man, and I know it's like two of the things that are my shtick, the fucking concert documentaries and the religious movies, but I really...
You gotta opt out of that
I
one?
really do. Man, I know when it comes down to it, I know I'll say yes.
If you want to say no, go ahead, I'll call Brian.
But right now, my brain is like, dude, do you really want to do that?
Yes, absolutely. Why stop now?
I don't do drugs anymore, man. If I hadn't quit taking
I go
drugs,
see shit like that so I don't have to do drugs.
shit like that makes me miss drugs.
That movie's getting released by Warner Brothers, so it might come to Springfield. I don't even know. Like, my only source for that is I got an email or a comment or something, because I think Sarah and I were talking about, or no, you and I were talking about, like, I don't think anything opens opposite Furious 7, and it was either an email or a comment that said, like, well, here's a couple of things, and one of them was Hillsong. So, that could be right, could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not seeing it Thursday night. That shit waits to the fucking weekend or midweek.
Oh, yeah.
I'm seeing cars drive through fucking skyscrapers into another skyscraper. But this is really good. If you've been burned on bad horror movies lately, which I've seen like all of them, so that's understandable, this is a really fucking good one.
Yeah.
It's creepy, moody as shit, solid acting, it's got some good jumps in it. If this is playing near you,
It's definitely worth the money. It's definitely worth a sit, and it's like, this will be great at home in the dark and stuff, but it's so beautifully shot and moody that, like, it's shot in a way that it just calls for the big screen, because it's got these big, beautiful, wide shots, and then on a smaller screen, you might lose some of the emotion going on the characters, because it's shot so wide.
Yeah, so like if you're somewhere where like it is playing in theaters, but it's also on like VOD or something,
Spend the money on the theater.
Spend money, go see it in the theater. Go see it in the theater. Probably cost you about the same, honestly.
Oh, and that's what I always say is, like, movies like this, the more money they make, the more movies like this we get.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to whatever this guy does next.
Yeah, I am too. I really am too. He's got like 2 other movies he's done before this that I hadn't even heard of, and like, I don't think they're in this genre, but I want to track him down just to see what his thing's about now.
Yeah, I would like to do that too, because I found this very, very impressive. So, go check this one out. It's probably a short video, because we really like this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Super enjoyable. It's a weekend review. Like, it doesn't matter if it's long.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. If it's not a religious movie, then the review might be slightly shorter than those.
Yeah.
Because we can go pretty long on those, but we have to. This is really good, though. Check it
Yes.
out. See ya.
All right.